What's wrong, sister?
To be honest with you, I didn't want to make this video. My own audience didn't want me to make this video. Or at least some of them. So why am I making this video? Well, because I'll admit, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I will play Assassin's Creed Valhalla for myself and find out, am I right? Is it a repetitive grind fest that's the same as every other Ubisoft title? Is it just a lazy sequel to Odyssey? Is it another discount Witcher clone? Well, I can safely say I now know after having put roughly 20 hours into the game. And if I had more time, I would play it more, but I think I can safely say I know exactly what kind of game this is now. So, I think first I'm going to address some of the popular criticisms from that previous video, then we'll go straight into the good and bad about this game. So, first of all, I'm not a historian. I would never claim to be a historian. I can't believe that one of the most popular type of comments was basically like, oh, this guy knows nothing about Viking history. First of all, nothing I said was technically wrong, okay? Yeah, I made a generalized statement about the morality of Vikings, right? But Vikings were not good people, to put it mildly, really. The Vikings pillaged and, whoa! A word I can't say and is going to be censored in this video, but you know what I mean, the hard R word, we'll say that. They did that a lot, which again, not all Norsemen are Vikings. I don't know if you know this, supposed internet historians. Yeah, they weren't all bad people, of course. That wasn't the point of my statement. The point of the statement was that Ubisoft was not going to address sensitive issues in one of their games, right? And I was correct, yeah, they don't in this game. I mean, in this game, you're basically committing softcore. Forgive me for saying this word in a stupid way. I'm trying to avoid auto-detection. But you're committing softcore genocide in this game against the Saxons. I mean, you are. You're just killing Christians in this game. You're killing like hundreds, if not thousands, of Christians in this game. Most of the big Christian characters in this game are Templars or are just some morally corrupt individuals. So I guess they get away with it lore-wise because in the original Assassin's Creed it was that way. The Templars took over the church. I mean, you guys completely missed the point of that statement, probably because your heads were up your ass because you were butthurt that I was shitting on your favorite game of the week. Second point, you don't have to waste $60 to know a game will be the same repetitive time-wasting trash as all of Ubisoft's other titles. See, this is the most stupid thing to me. It's like, first of all, that video wasn't a review. I never said the word review. It wasn't in the title, wasn't in the thumbnail. I think I probably said the word review once in that video, and it wasn't referring to me talking about Valhalla, because that wasn't a review. And some of you idiots tried to get really anal about like what a review is, but no, I'm pretty sure that was not a review by definition, because I barely even talked about Valhalla, because that wasn't the fucking point of the video. I said it a couple times. I played roughly 20 Ubisoft games in the past decade. And in specifically the past 7 years, Ubisoft has, let's just say, they perfected their formula of how they do a sandbox game, in the sense that all of them have been the same. Whether or not it's Far Cry, Watch Dogs, or Assassin's Creed, they're all the same type of bullshit. You climb a tower, you fucking unlock parts of the map, you have your inane collectibles that are everywhere, that are meaningless collectibles, half-ass side quests, like half-ass RPG mechanics, usually. And yeah, that's been pretty much in every one of their games in the past 7 years. So why do I need to play Valhalla to know it's going to have all those exact same things? And the final point from that kept coming up is like, people expecting me to act better than my shithead commenters because I'm the YouTuber and I'm expected to act better. I'm just a guy, dude. I'm not a role model. I'm just a human being like the rest of you. I'm not a fucking celebrity. I have 3,000 subs. Really? You expect me to be a role model? What is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with your parents? What did they teach you? I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Really? A YouTuber is your role model. You need to get your fucking shit together, dude. If a YouTuber is your role model. I'm just saying. Okay. I've droned on long enough. How is the game? Well, I'll admit, I'm a bit conflicted. Because it's better than I thought, but it's also exactly what I thought it would be. It is, like, I was totally right in that video, and that's what fucking pisses me off, is all those fanboys who dislike the video. It's like, I was right, though. I was literally right.
Well, why you boring me? I'm right.
But, you know, I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna say all the things I liked about the game first, just to be, you know, a little less biased, right? Just a little bit. So I'd say the first thing I like is I think the first area in Norway is really cool, really fun to explore. I just love snowy settings in games. I don't know, I just like snow, I guess. And I don't know, climbing the mountain peaks and a lot of the exploration elements felt better in Norway, maybe because it was a lot smaller than England. Since it was meant to basically be a tutorial area, it just felt like there was more effort put in. And that's probably why a lot of people had such a knee-jerk reaction to my previous video, is that they were still in the beginning of the game. So they're like, wow, this game's awesome, it's nothing like Odyssey. Except once you get to England, it's exactly like Odyssey. But whatever, you know, maybe you should play more than the first 5 hours of a game before you have an opinion on it. I'm just saying. But yeah, I don't know, I thought Norway was cool. Had some interesting little side activities. Had a cool, like, secret boss fight in a cave against one of the old Norse king's warriors. I think the combat is definitely improved. The combat and general RPG mechanics, I think, were the biggest improvement over Odyssey, which made the game a lot more tolerable. Honestly, it's not as much of an improvement as I would have liked. But basically, I'll address the RPG mechanics first, since that was one of my biggest problems with Odyssey, right? So with Odyssey, if an enemy was, let's say, more than 3 levels above you, it would take a fucking year to kill them. Like, it was ridiculous. The only way to really get around that was if you kind of min-maxed in stealth or archery, which I brought up in the last video, by the way, and some of you commented anyway, which proves that you didn't fucking watch the video. Melee combat was just shit in Odyssey. Like, it took so many hits to kill enemies. It was ridiculous. It's like they didn't even play test the game at all. It's not the case here. There are huge power level jumps in between areas once you get to England. And despite being only power level 36, I took out a power level 90 monastery. So it was like way above my level, but I still managed to kill everybody, despite them being able to kill me in 2 or 3 hits. And it was, you know, it was a lot more fun because there was actually tension to the combat, but we'll get to that later. In contrast, though, when I tried to fight a level 90 zealot, they beat my ass into the ground. It was brutal, but fun. It was fun that there was actually, it felt like a reasonable challenge, you know. If somebody is over 50 levels above me, yeah, that's fair. That's fair, which it's not actually 50 levels, because you get 2 skill points per level, so it's more like 25 levels above me. But still, that's a reasonable amount to feel like you can get your ass beat, right? Especially if it's a boss. And I played the combat on hard. That's something you need to know for the rest of this. I played on hard, which is the second highest difficulty, and hard should be normal. Normal probably is piss baby easy, I'm guessing. And then easy is game journalist, right? I didn't play it on the hardest difficulty because, one, it said the inflated enemy health, and I fucking hate that. That's literally, I hate that so much about higher difficulty settings in games, when they just give more health and more damage. But the RPG mechanics, other than just being better balanced overall in terms of numbers, where it's not such like a huge increase between individual levels, the loot itself has been simplified like greatly, which is awesome. This is something I really disagreed with Skill Up on, because I saw his review, you know, since I recommended it, you know. Skill Up didn't like that they completely gutted the loot system, but it's like the loot system was shit. Why would they keep the loot system? It was bad. And so what they've done instead, there's a limited amount of weapons and armor that's hidden across the map, right? And yeah, that's definitely an improvement. That actually makes loot feel valuable if there's not an infinite amount of it, you know? Like that's a way better system. Way better. That being said, it has its own problems. That individual loot doesn't feel very different from each other, because fundamentally the only difference between one longsword to another longsword is like a few of its basic stats are slightly tweaked, and it has a special ability, right? Armor sets also have their own abilities, which are quite a bit stronger as far as I can tell compared to the weapon abilities. So there's that. Having a far more limited amount of gear was definitely a step up, even if it wasn't completely balanced enough. I mean, I think there needed to be more gear, because there's way too many loot areas, like basically, you know, one of the main collectibles. The main collectibles on the map are wealth, artifacts, and mysteries, right? Those are basically your checkboxes on the world map. And for wealth, there's way too many that are just upgrade materials. Now, upgrade materials are really important in this game, but it still doesn't feel satisfying to find just like one carbon ingot in a fucking chest, right? That's just not, it doesn't feel good. If they had like a few more armor sets and, you know, maybe like 5 to 10 more weapons, the loot would be better balanced throughout the map, right? That's just what it felt like to me. Because finding a weapon will always be way more satisfying than finding, you know, an ingot. But back to the combat. So the combat feels sloppy. Let's be honest. It feels sloppy. If you played any good action game, this is a significant step down from any of those. Like, it feels like your strikes just pass straight through enemies. They don't have enough impact. Plus, I think they noticed this, right? So their band-aid fix is they have all these combat finishers in the game, which are like, you know, they're pretty brutal, and they look pretty good most of the time when they don't glitch out. The problem is there's not enough animations, and they happen too often. Like, the finisher should be set to happen like only at the end of a fight. Especially too because parrying is really powerful in this new combat system. Like, it's actually too good, and it's way too generous. If you do a stun attack after breaking the enemy's stun bar, which for a basic bitch enemy, it only takes one parry to instantly break their stun bar, that's an instant kill on them. And so whatever weapon the enemy is using determines what the stun attack is, because you kill them with their own weapon, essentially. It's just, even though there's a decent amount of enemies in this game, actually there's more enemy variety than I thought there would be, still, like, it gets old seeing the same stun animation over and over and over again. So yeah, the combat, I'd say overall it was improved enough, even though it's very much still an R1, R2 spam, especially R2 spam, because the thing is, they have a stamina bar, right? The problem with the stamina bar is that landing light attacks refills the bar. That was stupid. That's a bad idea, because basically that just means you spam your 3-hit R2 combo, and then you either parry, which will also refill your stamina passively, and will actually refill your health too. If you get a stun attack, you'll get health back. I don't know if that was an ability I unlocked or what. I can't even remember. I just noticed it started refilling health at some point. Or, you know, if you're about to run out of stamina, you can just start, you know, adding light attacks with your combos and then start spamming heavy attacks again. There's no reason to not just use R2 whenever you have stamina, and it doesn't take long to get it back. The abilities, I'd say, definitely still don't really work. Skill Up made this comparison. I'll just steal it from him. But he was saying in the last God of War, your special abilities felt like an extension of your combos, right? And I agree with that 100%. The last God of War definitely had good combat for sure. More in-depth than the older games, anyway, right? The abilities just kind of feel like something you just use. It's like a free kill most of the time. That's about it. And again, like Skill Up said, and I can verify, the harpoon ability does way more damage than it should. I have no idea why. It just does. You fucking shoot your harpoon and you pull them into another enemy, and it just kills both of them for no reason. Like, it looks so stupid. All you're doing is yanking an enemy into another enemy, and they just both take like 1,000 damage for no reason. It's dumb. The other ability I thought was pretty useful is there's one where you can charge into people, and it's pretty cool. It's like one of those Viking style, like, football tackle type of shit, where you just kind of like run while you're holding their body, and if you let go of it, you can actually throw them, right? So you can slam them into walls, which is cool, especially when you upgrade it. You can get like an additional axe like throw into their skull at the end, which is cool. But if you throw them off a cliff, they're dead, dude. Like, they cranked fall damage on enemies, I guess because like they probably watched Let's Players play Odyssey and just Sparta kick mercenaries off a cliff over and over again. They're like, well, that's stupid. And so now, if an enemy falls more than 20 feet, they die. They're just dead. It doesn't matter how much health they have, really. So that's fun. That's like the new Sparta kick. All the other abilities, meh. Use them a few times, then you get bored. You don't need them, really. That's the last thing I'll talk about I really liked about the game. I think the bosses are really good. But basically, it's more of like a... I never played Sekiro, but which, you know, as a Souls fan, I know that's kind of shameful. But from what I saw of Sekiro, it seems like that, where you have to parry multiple attacks in a row, and that's the whole gimmick. Of course, you could dodge, but that's pussy shit. No, you want to parry and break their stun meter so that you can get some massive free damage off on them, right? And so parrying will not interrupt their attack combo, so you actually have to parry multiple attacks in a row, like Sekiro, to get through their combo, which I thought was really fun. I like that. Another thing that's cool too is, like, much like Odyssey, they have these mythical beasts that you can fight. I didn't fight anything as over the top as like a Minotaur. I don't think they have mythical beasts like that, but they do have, like, there's like a giant elk that you fight at some point. There's like a huge weird like wolf beast that one-shot me because it was like power level 160 or some shit. There's also like those legendary warriors and the zealot Templars and stuff. So there's a lot of cool like high level guys that you can fight. So one other thing I did like, I will say the beginning of the story is good, but only the beginning in Norway. Because like Eivor, he's a cool character. He's like a warrior poet type of character. Granted, you know, a lot of the poet aspect is optional because like there's these I'm just gonna call them what they are. They're like epic rap battles that you have in Viking times. They're epic rap battles. Apparently, they call it fleeting.
You're a misfit, a half-wit, a foolish old grouse.
You're a weakling, a milksop, a catcher, a louse.
Brilliant.
Eivor's cool. Your brother Sigurd, he's cool. He's the only character you're really going to care about. Because really, caring about the main character in a video game, that's not an accomplishment. You have to really fuck up to make you not like the character you're playing as. But Sigurd, he's pretty cool. I mean, if you give someone a brother character, that instantly makes him more endearing anyway. But I liked him. He was a good, well-written character. And the two assassins, this is a cool thing, minor story spoiler. But basically, there are two assassins that show up from the original Assassin Guild, you know, from Assassin's Creed 1. I don't know the years exactly, but I think this takes place before Assassin's Creed 1, but not by much. Like, maybe like 100 years or something at the most. Which sounds like a lot, but, you know, back in that time period, 100 years, you didn't really accomplish that much, right? Technology-wise, anyway. Yeah, but the two assassin guys, they're the ones who give you the hidden blade in this. Yeah, you finally get a hidden blade, so it's sort of like an assassin game again, kind of. They're pretty cool. It was cool to see them, especially as someone who's kind of a long-time fan. I don't really want to call myself a fan of Assassin's Creed anymore, but I was a fan of the old style of games. The new games, I'm not sold on just yet. Yeah, I don't know, I like them. That was about it, though. And I just think, like, that storyline in Norway until you leave to England is fairly compelling. Alright, yeah, now for the shit I don't like, which is quite a bit. This is basically where I was right about more or less everything that I said in the original video. This game is a grind fest, period. It's an absolute grind fest. It took skill up 67 hours to finish this game, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself through that shit. So, I'm going to mix my experiences with the facts, because I'm not going to use too many of his opinions, you know. I can speak for myself, and he may have blown up certain things out of proportion, but I will use the facts from his review to basically try to convince you, yeah, this game is not worth playing for 67 hours. So, you know, after the intro storyline, you're kicked out of Norway and have to forge your own destiny in England, which basically means being an asshole Viking and killing all the Christians, right? More or less. Though that's a source of complaint as well, to tie into what I said in the original video. Even though you literally can burn down monasteries in this game, you can fucking break in, kill everybody, and oh yeah, turns out 90% of the people who live in monasteries are guards. Yeah, that's believable. Like, that there's just like 100 guards in every settlement and there's like no innocent people. Yeah, sure, whatever. But, so you can slaughter those people just fine. And there are even certain priests that are, you know, evil that you can kill in this game, right? But you can't kill unarmed civilians. It still desyncs you. It's like, motherfucker, I just burned down a village like an hour ago, and you're telling me I can't stab a civilian? Like, really? You're telling me Eivor didn't kill innocent? Bullshit. Bullshit. This is what I'm talking about, dude. I'm not saying all Vikings were like that, but this Viking is clearly like that. Oh, but they were all evil guards. Sure, okay. This is what I'm talking about. They don't want to address any sensitive topics. They're just going to be like, oh, don't kill unarmed people, and that's the end of it. And as you would suspect, you can't kill children, which is, I mean, the game will get banned. So I know why they do that stuff. But it's just funny, you can't kill unarmed people. It's like, really? Out of all the games, the ones where you play as a Viking, you can't do it. Okay, sure. This game has the worst sex scene I've seen in a video game, as in there isn't one, because you try to sleep with a woman in Norway in a side quest, and it just cuts to black, and like it doesn't. They're not even like shirtless or anything. Like they don't show anything. Like, look at this.
I could do more than comb your hair. Find all your nuts and snags and tame them, if you'd like.
My shoulders are tense, and my hair is a tangle. I could use a softer touch for these kinks.
Then let me. Delicate touch. Indelicate voice.
So there's that, I guess. I want to talk about the world events in this game because they vary greatly in quality, but I'm still going to count this as a negative overall because I think in the modern day, you need to stop making these huge sandboxes with terrible collectibles. Just stop doing it. It is so boring. Especially if it's a grindy ass game where you have to get your power level up, so you're expected to do a bunch of side quests and shit to, you know, get your level up. Stop doing this. Stop. So basically, you may have heard this before, depending on who you watch, but there are no proper side quests in this game, except for like a few that you're given at your homestead, which are like basically full game side quests. You know, you do them over the course of the game, so they don't even really count. You do them as you're exploring the map. They're just kind of side objectives. No, there are no side quests in this game. They got rid of the whole like, oh, this guy's got an exclamation point, you accept a quest. No, instead, this is where the mysteries part of the map ties in. Because there's basically like 3 or 4 types of mysteries. Most of them are world events. So world events are these minor side quests that are self-contained in a small area. And this is all you get for side quests, really. And surprise, surprise, most of them are a joke. Just like I said, about Odyssey. I don't think there's anything on the level of an old man literally being a cuck, but there are some stupid ones. Like one of them, there's like this, and this one, you can't tell me this wasn't political commentary. It was political commentary. There's this Christian guy who's sitting outside of his house, right? And he's like meditating or something. He's praying. And basically, he lets you kill his livestock, burn his house, all this crap, right? And it's like he's supposed to be showing, like, you know, he's let go of his sins. He's moving on, you know, he's at peace. He's letting the pagan heathen burn down his house and all that shit. I mean, he's an asshole to you. But still, you know, that in itself just was kind of like cringy writing, that they're like, oh, you savage, blah, 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 right? Eventually, he stands up, you grab his key, open his secret little shed, and he slaughtered like a bunch of people. So it's like, oh, okay. So I guess everybody who's trying to like have their sins forgiven and like be a devout Christian is like some evil psycho killer or some shit. I don't know. I'm probably reading into it too much, especially since I'm not religious myself, but it is tiring to see the constant shitting on Christians. And there was another one, and this was so stupid. There's this guy who filled his house with literal shit.
He dips his arrows in cow dung and never washes. Says it brings him luck. We're doomed to choke in Father's shit house.
And so his wife and child can't live in the house anymore because there's like toxic gas in there. So you gotta throw your torch to temporarily detonate the gas and then throw all of the boxes of shit out of the house, right? And then, you know, their dad is like, he climbed in a tree and he won't come down and he smells like shit. So you have to like destroy the wooden plank under him to force him to like fall into the water and take a bath. It was like, what the fuck is this quest? Come on, really? Then there was another one that was like basically Dumb and Dumber. Eivor literally says dull and duller. So yeah, they're like these two idiot Vikings who like think they're the best or whatever. And they're doing like a practice run on a house. Like they're practicing their raiding on like a dummy house, right, that they filled with stuff. And you gotta help them out, and they did all this stupid stuff. And it's like, are any of these serious? Is there like a single side quest that's actually like a serious, interesting story? I know, people already called me a Witcher fanboy in the last video, and I'm really not. I'm not a Witcher fanboy. I just think the game has really good writing. The combat sucks in Witcher 3. I'll say it. I've said it before. But the writing, the side quests, like they actually put effort into them. They were serious. They had real characters. You know, you were invested in the plot line. And there was player choice. In this, it's a bunch of jokes. It's just a bunch of jokes. Is there anything interesting? Like anything that I'll remember 5 minutes past it's over for the EXP? There was one where like this evil nun slaughtered a bunch of people because apparently God told her to do it, which is like, okay. And so you have to fight this bitch with a knife, and you kill her, so it's like, alright, I guess that's kind of interesting mini-boss. But most of the world events sucked, I guess is what I'm saying. No, what you really want is you want to fight the legendary animals, and there was one where I found a level 340 ghost super boss. Didn't even try to fight her. I was just like, nope, not happening. Yeah, but other than that, like, there's like these animus glitches. They fucking suck. I only did one of them because first of all, it makes you actually play as the woman who goes into the animus, which I don't give a shit about any of the real world shit in Assassin's Creed anymore. After Desmond died, who cares? Like, who cares? They're clearly not doing anything with the plot, so why does it even exist? And so the animus glitches are stupid. Don't do them. They're like platform puzzles. Obviously, there's all these forts that you have to assault that have treasure in them. That's where most of the wealth is in these little outposts. You've already done that like 1,000 times. And, you know, there's all this random tall grass for you to conveniently hide in, which that was the other thing I did. I played it on Master Assassin, the hard stealth difficulty. Do you know, take a guess what that means. Just take a little guess what that means. Yeah, you probably guessed correctly. It means they just spot you faster. No change in AI, no change in, like, really literally anything. It just means that the detection meter fills up faster, way faster at that, right? So it kind of forces you to use the assassin hood that you get early on, which makes it so guards only detect you when you're close to them or if you're in like a restricted area, right? But the stealth is a little better in this. It's still not good though. Like it feels more like classic Assassin's Creeds, especially if you actually invest in that section of the skill tree, which is something I forgot to talk about. But essentially how power level works is you get skill points and you can invest them in one of 3 directions, you know, stealth, archery, melee combat, right? And it's like a huge web of interlocking abilities that are in the center of all these little nodes. It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy X's sphere grid system, but a bit more open, right? So the problem with this is that you can't see any of the skills beyond like what section of the web you've invested in. So you have no idea if the skill you're building toward is any good. Now this isn't as bad as it sounds because you can reset your skills at any time, even individual nodes. So if you reveal a part of the web that looks stupid, you can just retract that one skill point you used to reveal that part. So it's not that bad, but it just feels, I don't know, it feels kind of stupid. You should have been able to see the whole web, you know? Like there's no reason to hide it, right? I mean, your build is going to end up really kind of generic at the end anyway, because I only invested in melee and stealth, and even at power level 70, I think is what I got to at the end of the 20 hours, I was already reaching the end of the melee tree. Like, I had already seen almost every piece of it, like except like one part. So that tells you that by the time you get to power level 340, which is, you know, like what the max difficulty is or whatever, you're gonna have skill points in every tree whether you like it or not, you know? Yeah, it's an illusion of choice style system. And yeah, stealth is just, you know, it's just so basic. You can actually assassinate higher level enemies in this versus Odyssey, where like if you fought a tough enemy, you could only do like a third or maybe half of their health. In this, they have an advanced assassination technique and a chain assassination technique that can both be combined. So hypothetically, you could take out 2 tough targets with 1 assassination, right? So that's like way better than Odyssey, obviously, but it's still very basic. I don't know what to expect really at this point. I mean, stealth in an open level just doesn't really work that well, unless you're Metal Gear Solid 5. And even Metal Gear Solid 5, I would argue, could have done it a little better, but Metal Gear Solid 5 definitely did it the best out of any of these open world games. I haven't really talked about what you're actually doing. In England, basically the whole plot of the game after you get kicked out of England is you just conquer England. I mean, that's basically putting it simply, right? Is that you take a region, you meet its local leader that is like aligned to your interests, you do some quests, and you conquer the region. And you just do that over and over and over and over again for 60 hours, basically, right? And you explore the world and hope you actually find good treasure and side quests amidst all the mediocre shit. And yeah, you're just gonna forget all the characters. I only completed the first 2 regions, right, because that's all I had time for. And I pretty much already forgotten the characters' names that you meet in each of those regions. Because it's like you're never gonna see them again after it's over, pretty much. Except maybe at the end of the game, I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, why should I care about anything that's happening? Like, they're not that interesting. I mean, like, one of them, a chick has like a traitor amongst her ranks, and you gotta find out who the traitor is. And then all of a sudden the game just kind of reveals who the traitor is. Like, it's very obvious. It's like, oh, I thought I was actually supposed to, like, you know, find clues or something. No, they just kind of give it away. It's like, oh, it's fucking dumb. And then the other one, you help your bro, and you meet, like, this psycho guy and his brother, and, like, they're trying to install a puppet king into a region. And, like, I kind of like the psycho guy because he did psycho shit.
A4, your ladyship? Do not mind me. Only here to count my spoils. Oh, God!
But other than that, I don't know, it was just forgettable. And I imagine the whole game is like this. It's just a giant grind fest for over 60 hours. Over 60, man. Like, no, unless you're working on this game for like 4 years, you can't make over 60 hours of compelling content. You just can't. Like, you really, really have to work on it. Because even a game like Witcher 3, there's always downsides. There's always downsides. In that game's case, it was the combat. They should have put way more effort into combat and leveling and RPG mechanics. But they put it where they knew they were good at, right? They had good writing. So they put all the effort into characters, story, side quests, main quests. That's what they put the effort in. This game doesn't have anything that it's really amazing at. Nothing. Like, there's nothing that it does better than any other game. Pretty much. I mean, there's nothing here that's particularly spectacular. So I'm just going to get to the end. Is this game worth $60? No. Absolutely not. I got it on Ubisoft Plus. So I only paid $15 to play this. It's worth $15 to play. Like, you will have at least 10 hours of fun, which is good, but there's no way you're going to finish this game. I guarantee you 80% of the people who dislike my last video will not finish this game, period. Which means I don't respect your opinion at all. You can't say a game is good if you haven't finished it. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't care what you think about the quality of a game. Unless you think it's bad and haven't finished it, then yeah, that I can see why you didn't finish it. No, what you should play instead, just to keep it simple and correct another mistake from my last video, play God of War. Can't believe I forgot to mention that last time. Play the new God of War. Play Ghost of Tsushima. It's definitely better than this. Not by much, though. I would say, since Valhalla is a bit of a step up from Odyssey, Ghost of Tsushima is like a half step up from this. Because I didn't think Ghost of Tsushima was amazing or anything. But it is a bit better than this game. Play Horizon Zero Dawn, I guess. You know, Horizon Zero Dawn at least has, like, more quality content. Though I also have my own problems with that game. If you don't have a PlayStation, obviously, play Witcher 3. It's a great game, an awesome game. And yeah, I think that's enough suggestions for kind of open-ish titles, even if God of War isn't really open world, but the other games were, so good enough. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is an 8 out of 10 game that is just stretched so thin that it becomes a 7 out of 10 game. And that's not a bad score. I mean, 7 out of 10, that's a decent game. It's not a game you'd buy at full price, but it's a game that you could play if you were bored and wanted to play something grindy and repetitive, right? Which is what this game is. It's grindy and repetitive. So, yeah, it's not a bad game at all. It's a step up from Odyssey. But if it had way more quality and less unnecessary quantity, it would have easily been an 8 out of 10 game. Easily. But no, it's just a decent game. Like, Watch Dogs Legion was just a decent game. Big surprise. I was fucking right. Turns out if you play, hundreds of video games, you know what video games are like. Who would have thought? Alright, so, I hate that I had to waste a week on this. And really, I didn't have to do it, but I chose to do it. I stuck to my guns. I wanted to play the game for myself and see how it is. I've decided, I'm still making Crash Twinsanity. That video is mostly done. It will probably release Monday, hopefully. Monday or Tuesday. I've decided to delay the Deus Ex review and instead do Thief 2 first, just so that I make sure I complete it before the month is over, to stick to my Patreon promise, right? And yeah, then I'll do Deus Ex probably the week before Cyberpunk comes out. Then I might take a break and just play Cyberpunk and finally do a video on that. And then I don't know what from there. I think that's pretty long term enough for you guys. Remember to like, favorite, subscribe, donate to my Patreon, please. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time, guys.